All right, so monumental news over the weekend. Of course, we had the executive order that President Trump issued regarding a strategic crypto reserve. I was wrong on this one. I said it was going to be just Bitcoin. I thought an exclusively and a strictly BTC reserve was going to be kind of the simplest option. I thought that was the most likely. But as I'm sure you've heard by now, the news is that we have a few major coins, a few major projects that are going to be included. And actually, speaking of Bitcoin and Ethereum as well, they weren't mentioned initially. They are mentioned in a follow-up tweet. But kind of the big ones, because they're relatively smaller, much smaller in terms of market cap versus BTC and ETH that everybody's so excited about, of course, are Cardano, XRP, and Sol, S-O-L, Solana. Of these three right now, we're actually most interested to see if this is really going to kickstart the next massive growth phase for Cardano. And this is perfect timing because ADA has a lot going on for it right now as a project above and beyond this crypto reserve. A $10 ADA price is all of a sudden very, very possible for 2025. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. It definitely feels nice to kick off the week with this kind of positivity because it feels like it's been a while. And if you're involved in the crypto space, maybe it's Cardano or XRP or Solana or otherwise, whatever it is, I wish you very, very well if you choose to invest. Just remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor, and that means by extension that this video is not official financial or investment advice. So finally, this really is the news that a lot of us in this space have been waiting for. President Trump came out and said something pretty concrete about this strategic crypto reserve. It's not going to be Bitcoin only. Again, I was mistaken. This is the statement itself. This was a tweet or a post or whatever you call them. This was first issued on Truth Social yesterday. It clearly shows that Trump wants a broader reserve of crypto assets. Again, including XRP, including SOL, Sol, and including ADA. Now, the very passionate Cardano community that exists out there is obviously loving this. But we also need to have a little bit of patience here. This is not something that we expect to see immediately. Trump made the statement yesterday. Like I said, it was an important statement. But actually what's more important in the meantime is March 7th, which is coming up in just a few days, because on that day, that's going to be the first ever White House Crypto Summit. This is kind of not something that's necessarily on everybody's calendar. It's not been talked about all that much, but it's a big deal. And also very important in conjunction with that is the meeting simultaneously of the Digital Assets Working Group. And obviously right now there's some big questions that still have yet to be answered. For example, what does the working group think? Do they think Bitcoin only? Do they think a broader crypto reserve makes sense? And by the way, also keep in mind that there's a pretty big difference between a stockpile and a reserve. And that's because a reserve implies using money from the US Treasury to then go out and buy strategic digital assets to hold. Kind of like the US government does with things like gold. Oil is another example. But a stockpile, by contrast, is different. In many instances, the US government already has certain stockpiles. So for example, from law enforcement-based seizures, from alleged illegal activity. Here's a list, actually. The $20 billion worth of Bitcoin is from all the seizing when finding said illegal activity. So that's actually by far the largest holding. And other assets here include almost exclusively EVM tokens and stablecoins. We don't even know if the March 7th summit is going to lead to any kind of a firm committed decision. But right now it looks like at least the working group will likely recommend that the government keeps what it has already collected. So that's option one. And if that's all the group recommends, then that leaves Cardano out, unfortunately. But this is probably the least likely option. Option two would be to sell those other cryptos and keep or potentially add Bitcoin as a Bitcoin-only reserve. This is a little bit more likely than option one, but it would also leave Cardano out. Option three, which is more likely, would be to keep or adjust the current stockpile, and then on top of that, add other strategic assets. This is a pretty good possibility. This is where there's lots of space for ADA, for XRP, for Solana. And look, there's no question that when this happens officially, these projects, these coins are going to go pretty parabolic if this is indeed what the White House officially decides to do. So hypothetically, that is great news for Cardano. But like I said, there are other reasons to be excited about ADA this year, whether or not it is part of this strategic reserve. This Altcoin Buzz Spotlight video is brought to you by CoinEx, which is one of the best exchanges that you may have never heard of. Just like Gate.io or MEXC, they offer a lot of coins, but more importantly, they offer high quality coins that you actually want. CoinEx is a crypto-to-crypto centralized exchange, but they partner with firms like Simplex, Banksa, and MoonPay for you to move up to 60 different currencies to the exchange with an on-ramp. In fact, over 1,000 coins in over 1,500 markets are available, and that represents a lot of access. CoinEx has a great offer right now for new users to its exchange. If you open an account and deposit Nacho, that's Nacho, representing the Nacho meme coin, then you can get up to 20% cash back into your account and thus more dry powder. This is an offer that is only around for a couple of days. It is lasting only until the 5th of March. So be sure to click the link in the description below and sign up with a new account on CoinEx and collect your bonus Nacho in your new account.
I think the biggest area of growth for Cardano, though, is going to be midnight. What's cool is we're going to do distribution across the entire cryptocurrency space. So the odds are you guys will be holders because you probably at least hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or something. And if you have any of these cryptocurrencies in addition to ADA, you'll be getting an airdrop. So there's no ICO, no pre-sale, no VC. Just do a broad distribution of about 135 million people. And that distribution model where everybody gets an airdrop, everybody gets to participate. It's a giant user acquisition engine.
Midnight is Cardano's solution to a constant problem that we talk about in crypto. That is privacy. And as per Charles Hoskinson in this clip, this particular airdrop for this privacy-based Cardano sidechain is actually going to be one of the biggest and most broadly distributed tokens that we've ever seen in the market. And more importantly, it solves the problem of having to shield or privatize at least some transactions to get the widespread adoption that we all want for the industry. Midnight is going to likely become the largest ecosystem coin the day that it launches. And while we don't know the exact date of the launch just yet, everyone, including Hoskinson himself, by the way, says that it's coming this year in 2025. And its token, along with its rewards for ADA holders and validators, are going to make it a very profitable year once it does launch.
You can now trustlessly connect Bitcoin to other ecosystems. So the whole hybrid application model opens up. There's $1.3 trillion of Bitcoin. There's over 100 million users. It's one of the biggest markets in the world. And Cardano is the native touch point because we're both UTXO systems. It's exceedingly easy to connect these two systems and develop these two systems. So what does that mean? It means Bitcoin can flow into Cardano, and with Babel fees coming next year, they will be able to pay transaction fees in Bitcoin. Under the hood, ADA is being consumed.
And then finally, Cardano is also reinventing itself. It is no longer this project with this reputation of being isolated. Instead, lately, it's integrating much more with other chains. We have a lot of examples of this lately. Bitcoin coming to ADA. There's also the XRP bridge, the one-chain bridge to EVM, Sol, or SWI. Also, Bitcoin and Cardano have always been compatible because both use the same UTXO, or unspent transaction output model, for tracking transactions that most other chains do not use. Charles Hoskinson himself said that he expects Bitcoin to be a US Treasury Reserve asset. And then people are going to be able to pay for it using ADA for gas. And so this really is a big one. All told, there are lots of different reasons to feel optimistic about Cardano's future growth. This wasn't an exhaustive list, but I think those are the most important examples that we can emphasize. And if it really starts to regain its footing and gain some momentum, it could get up to $10. In the short term, obviously, this is a catalyst here in terms of Trump's statement, and we're going to stay on top of them. They're going to be clarified and defined more clearly as time goes by. Again, keep an eye on what's happening on March 7th. The digital summit is upcoming very quickly. Obviously, we are very, very excited to see what happens.